TikTok, it's time to rock. It's the Sunday show. I'm here with my awesome co-hosts. When we were in the green room, we had that flickering back screen going, and I was getting seasick. I'm getting seasick. I told you guys I told you, but I'm just putting that like little effect up there before we change it. But
because you can.
Well, it's annoying, isn't it? As much as we love Jimmypage, it's bloody annoying. Oh, oh, that's better.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm less seasick.
Well done. Can I say, on Mondays at work, we have like a sort of community call. All the project managers get together, and one of us resource managers chairs it. So I was chairing it on Monday. So I get on. So I say, TikTok, it's time to rock. It just comes out. It's only about 100 people listening. And I'm like, TikTok, it's time to rock. Let's start.
Wow!
Out it came, unbidden. I seriously, that's how it started.
Wow!
Well done. See, it's impinging on my subconscious already.
Oh, that's awesome news.
Fantastic.
Good to see you, Brad. Good to see you, Simon. I'm looking forward to part 2 of this show. We've got a couple of things that we want to do, obviously, guys, before we kick off the show proper and have a little bit of a rap bag round table and a few shout outs that we like to do. So obviously, if you guys are new to our channel, on the bottom down there, scrolling consistently, you'll have some Instagram accounts. I'll throw up Brad's Instagram account during the course of the show. Watch him there. He's keeping us busy over there. And even the Rock Professor. We like to tease the Rock Professor, and he's doing a few Instagrammies as well. He's an Instagrammy.
Kurt was teasing me. It's like, you should see the old fool.
Yeah. I didn't say that.
I did. It's true.
We're also streaming on our couple of Facebook groups that are related to the channel. The All Things Ericclapton Facebook group, which has 1,700 members. We're also streaming on our 5150 Facebook show. 5150 Facebook show Facebook group. Oh my Lord. 1,500 members. And if you guys are watching from All About the Blues, the home of the British Electric Blues, our Facebook page over there has 10,000 members. 10,000 members. If you're watching there and you haven't hit our subscribe button, please do. We would appreciate it. We hit all subscribes back with a reciprocal one. So that's the best that Brad and I and the Rock Professor can do for you. Thank you for following us there. I better have a Coke. I'm going to pass it over. I'm going to pass it over to the top rung, because the top runger, he's got something to talk about. I didn't say top ranger. I said top runger. I'm sure I said that, didn't I? Oh, yeah.
You did.
The top. Got to be careful when you say these things. The top runger. And we got the bottom runger, who I suspect who may have been a bit red before he was grey.
No, it wasn't red. It was light brown.
A light brown.
Light brown. And then one day it was grey. And that's what children do for you. So that would be a lesson to you all.
Hard to believe this was black once, I know.
When we started the show, you didn't have that.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll show you guys some photos. When I had a beard 20 years ago, and I'll prove to you it was black. But anyway, Brad.
Yeah.
Get us back on track, please. It's your turn this week.
I'm honestly thinking of a way to get us back on track. Let me think. Okay, shouts out to Warren. Warren, all the health and wealth, buddy. We're gonna keep sending you our warm thoughts and prayers, and hopefully you're feeling a lot better. And we can't wait to hopefully get you on the show. So it'd be great to see you guys, see you on here at some point. And shout out to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Happy birthday!
Oh,
one of my biggest influences. So there you go. Happy birthday.
How old would he have been? Do we know?
Just try and work that out for you. I can't remember. I think he would be. The rock professor should know this stuff. This is what the rock professor is good
at. Certainly in his late 60s. He wouldn't have been in his 70s.
He was born in 54. So
he'd be 67.
67, yeah. So we're approaching 70 by now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Simon.
Yeah. Well, the thing that caught my eye in the news this week was the announcement that the godfather of all that we talk about and deal with on here, John Mayall, he's 87. Still gigging. 87 has decided that he's not going to gig outside of California anymore due to the pandemic and his advanced age. He's going to do some local shows in California, but he's not going to be doing any shows internationally on the road. So that's definitely the end of an era, isn't it? Aged 87. That's as I say, the Godfather. Clapton, Peter Green, they all passed through the John Mayall stables, on their way to stardom.
Yeah.
So hats off to John, really, for that. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So what do we got today? What are we doing today, guys?
I'll say hello to the guys in the chat before we roll into the things. So good morning to Derek Clapton. Morning, Ellen. Good morning, John ZD351. Morning, John. We've got morning, Teresa. How are you? Hope we're all good. We've got Johnny Bean. Morning, Johnny. Finished up on your Saturday Night Live. Keith Campbell. Morning, Keith. We had. Did I see Fruitcake Tony as well? Deja Voodoo. Helen O'Hara. Good morning, Helen. Nice to see you. I'm not saying that's a new name. 708. Morning, Jay. How you doing? Hope you're good. So I think that's pretty much everybody who's chatted in. So welcome all. Thanks for joining. And I'll keep an eye on the chat as we're rolling through.
Awesome. Thank you, Helene, for joining us. We touched base, I think, on social media about a week ago, and she's been saying some nice things about our channel and what we do on social media, so it's always good. I just want to do one other little shout out too, guys. So Alan Garber, who's a very good friend of the show, has been giving some really cool information to Brad and I in particular. He's added some really awesome comments on the show that we've done already, part one of this show. So on the Bro Down, Brad and I are going to incorporate some of that information that Alan's given us in regards to the instruments that were used on this album. We didn't want to draw this show out and talk about that while we're doing the ranking of the tracks. So we'll do the ranking of the tracks. Thank you, Alan Garber, for giving us that information. But I promise that we'll talk about that, Brad and I, not this week, because at the end of this show, we've got a special announcement about what we're going to be doing Wednesday. But we'll be doing that on the Bro Down next week, bro. So thank you, Alan. Okay, guys. Anything else that you guys want to mention before we get in?
No, we're all good. Let's do it. Let's get to the tracks.
We're TikToked and we're ready to rock.
So I'm going to do this a little bit differently, guys. I'm going to just talk about a couple of tracks briefly, but there's a couple of tracks that I think deserve a little bit of a contribution from me, because I'm also keen to hear what my other co-hosts say and have in regards to the song. So bear with us, guys, because we want to try and get to as much of the source, the goodness as we can between the three of us. So the first song, and bear with me too, because I'm reading off some notes. So I can't commit it all to memory. So Black Dog embraces the very essence of hard rock, doesn't it? It's the first track on the album. Or at least what we think an essential hard rock song should be. It's got a killer riff, wailing vocals, an awesome guitar solo, and lyrics about girls. Nothing too romantic. Probably key things for the rock and roll songs. So all those things are checked, guys. But what's really interesting, I suppose, about Black Dog from our perspective is the drumming by John Bonham. It's immediately recognised in the music industry and from the blues perspective as a call and response structure. You know, it's got the bluesy vocals. It's got an intricate riff that form the song's backbone. And just a little bit of a side story here. I don't know if the information I've picked up, Brad and Simon's correct, but apparently Jonesy, who's really, really important behind the song, wanted to have a difficult song with mixed time structures to make it difficult on purpose for other bands. So I thought that was an interesting point that I came across, because there's that bit of that competitive thing going on with some of these guys. It's not necessarily about them trying to be too artistic or musical themselves, but it was also about being a little bit difficult for other bands. Do you reckon there's any truth in that before I continue with my introduction, Brad?
I'll touch on it in my song description, but like he was influenced by Smokestack, which was a Howling Wolf song, and there is a riff. The riff also, there's like 2 or 3 time signatures in that riff, and they actually had problems. Well, not problems. Bonham was finding it difficult to get the timing right with the timing changes, so he just said, "I'm going to play 4/4 through it." So the riff kind of floats over the drum beat. It goes out of time and comes back into time right at the end. That's just
okay.
It just landed that way. So effectively, what happened? It was just like I guess Jonesy was also like listening to other things at the time, and the timing of the song, from my understanding, and this is just my technical. I could be wrong here, but it's like a 9/8 feel, then it goes to a 5/8, and it's a 4/4. There's a 4/4 beat all the way through it. So there could be some truth behind that, but I know that the riff was deliberately intricate from John Paul Jones. Yes.
Okay, cool.
And I can tell you that thing with John Bonham playing 4/4 all the way through, that is true.
Awesome.
Because that was only told to me by the composer himself when he taught me the riff. So John Paul Jones taught me how to play it, and that's what he said. He said that it goes in time, out of time, and in time. And Bonham couldn't do the time, so he just said, "I'll play straight through." So that is true.
Wow, that's amazing, Simon.
Well, my dad. I was talking about my dad. He's a composer. We did a 2-week thing in Huddersfield in the north of England. They have a music festival every year. And one year, my dad did it, which he did a few years, and we would go and do electronic music workshops and stuff, and But one year, John Paul Jones came because he's quite interested in avant-garde stuff and electronica. So he came. So we spent a week in Huddersfield with John Paul Jones doing, doing this crazy kind of drummy stuff and electronic stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
So he
Yeah.
has that kind of foot in that kind of avant-garde, electronic world as well. He likes to, so yeah, we got the story I told last week about John Bonham and the massive stereo. That's one of the stories he told us.
Wow.
Awesome. So the problem was to present this configuration in a manner which still sort of flowed naturally and sounded like Led Zeppelin, as
Zeppelin, yes.
opposed to the progressive rock bands that were around at that time, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes, because they were very careful not to go down that track. They were Led Zeppelin were a rock band, so it's really important that we maintain the two differences between the progressive rock bands that were developing and building, as opposed to what Led Zeppelin in essence were. But we can talk about another song later on that might have just chucked everything that we've just said out out the window. So while other drummers during this period would likely have, I think from the research that I've done, they would have found, even these progressive drummers would have found, I think, it would have been a challenging thing to do. So when we get a drummer on, when we get a Hoss's drummer on, he's going to probably teach us a little bit more about these things, because I'm not a drummer. So I look forward to at least asking him that question. What else do I want to say, guys? What else do I want to say? I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to probably leave a little bit for my conclusion. So, Black Dog, great opening song. The drumming, when I was a young guy, hooked me. Hadn't heard anything like it. It's been spellbinding listening to it, guys, over the last 2 weeks again. I can't get that out of my head. I love it. I love the recording version. I love all the live versions. In fact, it's no problem for me to say that I think this studio version is the definitive version for me. I know that we like to talk about live versions being pretty good. I can't get past this version, Brad and Simon. I'm going to give this a Brad score. It's 20 out of 10, Brad.
Yeah. Look, I have to agree with you, Andrew. I mean, what an opening track, with that little intro with the guitars. Like, obviously there's debatable what's actually going on there, whether he's deliberately scratching behind the nut to make it sound like a dog, or whether it's just the noise before the song started, the 2 or 3 tracks that were being recorded at the time. But great intro. And this was apparently the first song they worked on for the album as well. I mean,
correct.
It's a John Paul Jones riff. It was inspired by a song in 1969 Howling Wolf recording of Smokestack. The way the riff rolls at the drums is like sitting on a 4/4 beat. For me, I could try and tap it out. I tapped out like a 9/8 and a 5/8 feel, and then a 4/4. But Bonham, as we just discussed, plays a 4/4 feel, and the riff goes out of time and meets at the end, which is just awesome how they managed to do that. And I think that's what gives it a lot of swagger. So there's some wonderful vocals from Robert Plant. He's channeling Robert Johnson with his lyrical content. The call and response thing was influenced by Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac in Oh Well. The drums are tight. They just have a natural swing to them. Page and Jones are just locked in so tight together on this one. It's a fine example of the musicianship in this band, the way they recorded it, and the little spill that you can hear of like the click before they start each cycle of the riff. Just natural chemistry within the band, just so tight. And I mean, that Sparkle Ludwig that John Bonham's playing just sounds phenomenal. It's really tight sounding in this song. Page has a really unusual sound on this one. And the research I did, And if anyone knows any different, it'd be great to elaborate on this. But he's his Les Paul. He's playing direct into a DI box, and from there it goes into a mic channel. And then the mic amp of the mixing board was used to get the distortion, and then they compressed it. There's 3 guitars recorded. There's left, right, and a center guitar.
Correct.
Jones is playing his jazz bass. He's playing with a pick, gives it a little bit more growl and a little bit more aggression. The solo is played through what sounds like a Leslie speaker to me, and it's just got something special about this song. And I mean, I'm going to repeat this a lot on this album. So I could talk about this for ages. And look, I've got to give it, it's 100 out of 10. It's probably one of the finest opening tracks on a record, in my opinion.
I'm glad, brother. I'm glad that you mentioned Fleetwood Mac, and I purposely didn't want to talk about that during my introduction because I know that you alluded to it last week. But I just want to jump in and add this little note that I've made, because from my research, yes, I can see the connection that Led Zeppelin got from this OU812 track, which is, we're all Fleetwood Mac nuts here and we love it. But there is a big difference because the vocals. So I've got the lyrics here. So you've got the OU812 riff, and then you've got Peter Green singing. I can't help about the shape I'm in. I can't sing. I ain't pretty, and my legs are thin. Compared to the alpha dog, rock and roll god singing, "Hey, mama, say the way you move. Gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove."
It's uncanny.
What a I can't swear, but what a, and the way he sings, that's just, and we're all guitar lovers here. We love, look at us, look at Brad there and Simon, but that vocal line, jeepers, just about makes you want to give up the guitar. Simon.
Well, I'd say about the vocal lines as well that requires a lot of confidence, doesn't it, to sing on your own? No instrumentation, to help you and stuff. And of course, no auto tuning or any of that nonsense. It's you just, as I talk a lot about here, you're just doing it, aren't you? And doing it live and all of that is requires some balls to do it, literally. Those tight jeans, John. Yes, absolutely. You see, never underestimate the power of a pair of tight jeans to get you that extra note, that extra high note. Yeah, we just say to
if you're a dude, you know exactly what that comment means.
Yeah, singing Acapulco. Yes. Morning, Ben Tom. Morning, Keith Campbell. And I say Johnny Heartbreaker and a Great Vanzini as well. Good morning, Great Vanzini. Been enjoying your releases, Great Vanzini. Fantastic stuff. Check those out. Great Vanzini's been doing some great instrumental releases. Really nice with backing and everything. So, morning all. Thanks for joining. Indeed, one of the great opening tracks of any rock album ever. As I said earlier, my claim to fame is John Paul Jones showed me how to play it and talked a bit about the drums and things. So I'm all about it. I mean, I think we should say trivia quiz that Black Dog was named after a Labrador that hung around Headley Grange during the recording. That's why it's called Black Dog. Typical kind of Led Zeppelin, just kind of have a title kind of thing. But I mean, you're right. It is that kind of amazing call and response, with the band and Plant going back and forth, and it's just, and the way I'll talk about this a lot. I think that clearly you can hear Page, all the way through something. That thing about when he records and when he, figuring out what the track needs, as you said, Brad, he's got 2 guitars, one on the side, one in the middle, and they're doing slightly different things. And that's, but not overplayed, not overdone. It's not, there are things that happen for the song and for the song. It's all for the service of the song. And I think, you know, that's his great thing, Jimmy Page, isn't it? You know, and I remember when we talked about physical graffiti, that's one of the things of physical graffiti is the way that, you know, it doesn't go over the top, it's not too much, you know, there's still the space there, but, you know, he's figured out what he wants to do and how to do it. And it's fantastic. So, yeah, 100 out of 10 from me, and never a skip. You know, ever a skip. one of the classic rock songs of all time.
Look, I agree with you guys, and just a couple of other little comments. Only Robert Plant can sing "Baby" half a dozen different ways in this. You go and you know, it's just. I'm not going to have a go at it because I'm just going to freak everyone out. But you know, but you check. You know, he's saying "baby." Half a dozen, maybe 7 or 8 times differently. And you know, most guys would just go, "Baby, baby, baby, baby," but not this guy.
Channeling your inner Robert Plant. Come on.
You know, there's a fair bit of what I like to call eroticism in the lyrics of this, and you know, he's channeling. You know, there's a lust element in the song, which is really cool. And I'll just touch on and I won't keep doing this, but there's just one other thing I deliberately left off because I knew the rock professor would go straight to the dog, the Black Labrador. But Robert Plant used to joke that the dog was off to see his old lady for the evening and then come back then the next day exhausted and sleep all day in the studio. And they didn't know its name, so they just called it Black Dog. And so you know, the lyrical content of the song kind of does allude to what the dog's life was.
Oh, look! I got to agree with you, and also it's a faithful song to the blues too, isn't it? You know, which is, you know, fundamental to Led Zeppelin, especially even from, you know, that lyrical component which is critical to the blues. You know, I don't know, but I've been told that woman ain't got no soul. You know, that's something that Muddy Waters would sing. You know what I mean? That's something that Robert Johnson. That's
it was very Robert Johnson-y. Very it's Zeppelin. You know, embracing their blues you know, their background and what they were interested in. What influence?
John's got it. He's singing it. Look.
Pretty baby.
baby. Yeah. Oh, no, okay, we won't do it. But yeah, I'm glad that we've given it a Brad score. Obviously, you guys in the chat, give us what you think your scores are for the songs, because we always enjoy checking out what you guys have to say. So, guys, what an opener! I love going through these albums with you, and I think this is one of the best opening tracks for an album, which says it all.
Also, I forgot to mention that Robert Plant did the vocal takes in 2 takes.
Really?
He was quick at tracking his vocals.
Wow.
I think that's one of the things about Page, you know, that I certainly read here some of it, you know, that there wasn't any messing about, was there? You know, you went in, you tracked it, you did it, and that's what you did, you know. And you know, the guitars he did were all live in the studio, played it through, you know. And I think, you know, Page clearly is, it's good enough. It's good enough, you know. You can go another 10 times around, not get anything better, maybe get something a bit different. But you know, I think that's one of his things. You know, he knows how to get on with it. Really, you know, get the best out of it, energy-wise and feel-wise. And you know, if there's an odd glitch, you know, it just nobody notices and you carry on, don't you? You know, if he doesn't notice, you just get on with it.
Yeah,
awesome.
You know,
awesome.
Hats off to him for that.
Okay, guys, that's awesome. What's the second song? Hold on.
While I'm doing that,
Rock and roll.
I'm going to show Helena. Look, for those of us with old vinyl old vinyl things. I have I have old original vinyl records as well. So well done for still having them. There we are.
Yeah, we're vinyl sniffers here, Helen. We're
Yes.
vinyl sniffers. I can guarantee that. Bent, Tom, check your messages. I'm going to message you after the show, Bent, about something that we've got cooking. So I'm gonna give you a message, please, brother. Rock and Roll is the second song on Led Zeppelin 4, and further confirms that the band has their blood up, guys. I just think the song is fantastic. Bonham counts off the song with that freight train introduction that sounds like it's just going to come off the rails any moment. Jones and Page barely managed to catch that rhythm and lay down what I think, again, is another classic rock and roll groove. We've got Plant kicking out with that impossibly high melodies that just only Plant can do. Maybe Ronnie James Dio is probably another guy that can get up there, but jeepers. One of the things, guys, that really attracted me when I was young to Led Zeppelin was certainly Robert Plant's vocals. It was just unheard of, something unheard of. Nothing overtly original about the song, which is why I like it, because again, it's one of the great things that Led Zeppelin can present to us. You know, they can offer us something that is just a great rock and roll song, blues inspired, in between a couple of massive hits. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Love, though, Brad, I love the live versions better than the studio version. I have to admit. I have to admit that, Rock Professor. Brad.
Well, I mean, this song, it literally evolved out of a jam. They were at Headley Grange and they were working on 4 Sticks. They were having a few problems with that, and they took a bit of a break, and Bonham just broke into Little Richard's song called Keep a Rockin', and Jimmy just picked up his Les Paul and started a real Chuck Berry riff, and that the whole thing just flowed together. And they just said, "Oh, let's work on this instead." So it became the song they were working on at the time instead of 4/6. It's got a great feel to it. I mean, that drumming intro, it's very rare you see a cover band or a Zeppelin tribute band. There's a unique timing to it, that when Bonham does the ta 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 ta, and then like where he kicks it in, hitting that on the like where the band kick in with him. A lot of people miss that, or they play it slightly different. It's just Bonham's feel, just the way he came in, and they obviously Page and Jonesy knew exactly where to come in. But I have to agree, Andrew. I love all the live versions of this that I've ever heard. I mean, Bonham's drumming, he's swinging, but there's not much swing in this song compared to some of his other songs. He's got a real powerful blues thing happening with his drumming, and it just sets the whole mood. Yep. John Paul Jones, he's just providing some amazing bass playing and moving around like you could just picture he's playing in a blues, or you could playing for Elvis Presley or something. Like he's just playing all these bass lines that are just phenomenal. Page is singing, he's borderlining vocal limit at times for me. Like he's on his limit in this song. He's pushing himself. Wonderful. The lyrics penned really quickly. Page is playing his Les Paul. He overdubbed a couple of parts, and some really smart guitar tracking on this one. I'm not sure about what he's using effects-wise. There's possibly a tone bender on one of the guitars. There's lots of reverb on another track, and a great solo from Page. Mixture of major and minor pentatonics, just mixing it up. But just such a unique little jam, really. And I mean, the piano is a really nice touch from Ian Stewart. And that drumming outro, look, that's only something John Bonham can do, in my opinion. I've seen so many bands cover this song, and just it always falls over at the intro and the outro of this song. And for some reason, everyone gets the solo section wrong. That they don't understand. It goes back to like the intro again. Then it does a blues progression. They sort of do a blues progression straight off. I've never understood why people would get that wrong, but this is what set this band apart from other bands. I give this song a 20 out of 10. It's just a jam song, and they did it so well. It's recorded so well. Robert Plant's vocals are stellar on this one. 20 out of 10 for me. Simon.
I'm not surprised you, Brad, scored this song. I'm not surprised, brother. Sorry, Rock Professor.
That's right. That's right. Just one thing to note. I think that of course the piano player on it is Ian Stewart from the Rolling Stones, doing the old piano bit as towards the end. I have a story about this song. I went to sort of, there were years when I didn't really listen to this record at all in the sort of late 70s. So I went to sort of the punk new wave thing and got into that, and it kind of sat on the shelf. And I remember I was in my first year at university, so 82, and I was standing at a bus stop in where was I? Notting Hill Gate, somewhere around there. And I had a cassette of it, which I had on my Walkman. Remember the old days of Walkman? And I remember still to this day, having not heard it for 5 or 6 years, putting it on and being sort of reminded or astonished by the energy and the drive, and thinking, well, this is not even really removed from punk, is it? It's got that same kind of energy to it, verve and energy to it. And I remember being, staggered by, by that drum intro, and really how much energy and how much drive and how much, verve there is in all of that. And it's just, it amazed me then, and it's amazed me ever since, really, that the amount of the energy to it. And I think that's it's one of the things you get from playing live, isn't it? You start something, the guys join in, what you get is that energy, that live feel, that kind of interaction between the musicians that make this, particularly this kind of rock and roll 145 song, that it really makes those songs, going and layering it in and stuff like that is, it's not really, the basis of it has got to be that live, in the in the studio thing, which gives you that energy. So for me, it's the tremendous energy of it, and the drive, and the kind of, it's the verve, isn't it? The joie de vivre of it, and in that blues thing. But it's pure rock and roll, really, and harking back to those rock and roll songs of the 50s, Chuck Berry and whoever, Little Richard and stuff, the energy that those songs had, and so it's a 20 out of 10 for me. I mean, I love this, it's just, I can't get this part of my DNA. I'm 13 when this comes out. I get it the next year probably, and listen to it ever since. It's and you're right. There's some great live versions and all of that, and but this is for me. Maybe not the definitive, but for me, this is where I came in, and therefore it's a 20 out of 10. It's a Brad score, and never a skip.
Awesome, brothers. Fantastic. We've got some good comments going and a great conversation going in the chat there, guys. Thank you very much. If you guys want to throw your scores in, please do. But John's thrown in some cheeky comments as per usual, so that's always good. Guys, the Battle of Evermore is one of the very few Zeppelin tracks to engage an outside musician, and the only time that I can pick up from the research that I've done that they've used another vocalist. Although Page plays an active mandolin throughout the track, and it's apparently, and Brad might correct me if I'm wrong, the first time he's using the instrument on this song, but Battle of Evermore is primarily a vocal feature for Plant, with the assistance of Sandy Denny, and who at times melts her voice seamlessly into Plant's, that it's hard to distinguish between the two. And you know how we were doing the All Things Must Pass album, and we couldn't discern whether it was Clapton or George playing guitar parts. Isn't it great that when you sit and listen to a vocal, you can't work it out? You know, it's and I love that. There are times when male vocalists like Coverdale and Paul Rodgers could match the dynamic power of Plant, but this guy, this alpha male rock god, had all his contemporaries beat when it comes to writing poetic imagery, free from the cliches and the obvious symbolism and the lazy rhymes. This man can write songs, and because of that, I'm going to give this song a 20 out of 10. I love it.
Oh, it's a beautiful song, and some beautiful lyrics in it. The vocals are the feature, without a doubt. I love how excuse me. I love how the song fades in with the mandolin playing. It's just beautifully done. It sets a mood, like straight off the bat. It fades in, and you're automatically anticipating something really beautiful by what Page is actually playing on the mandolin. And from my understanding, he tracked 3 parts on the mandolin, and it was the first time he played it. Obviously, he picked up John Paul Jones's mandolin and started playing it, and that's my understanding of it. There's some really nice tracked parts there. It's a gorgeously written song, beautiful arrangement. Robert's voice is angelic. Great vocal and tracking with harmonies. Sandy Denny is a really nice addition to the track. I love that interlude part, the bring it back. And I have to agree with you, Andrew. There's parts where you've really got to concentrate. And maybe because I know which parts Sandy sung on is identifiably as Sandy, but it's at times their voice is so close. They really worked well together, like vocally on the track. I lost my train of thought. I have to give this song like a 20 out of 10. It's a beautiful song. My favorite part of the song is that, that interlude part where it's like, bring it back, oh now, or that part. That's just, there's something goosebumpy about that for me, that just I never get sick of listening to it. And the way it segues in, the way it fades in after rock and roll, like we talk about track listings and on albums, on LPs, there's such a wonderful, opening 2 tracks, and then they soften it with this beautiful song. Really well done. 20 out of 10. Sorry, I'm waffling a little bit here, but I'll hand it over to the rock professor.
Yeah.
We don't mind you waffling, brother, because you waffle. you waffle wisdom.
I try my best.
I like that. You waffle wisdom. There we are. The T-shirt, that is. The British Electric Blues Show, waffling wisdom.
I will say this. I think Robert recorded his vocals at Headley Grange, and Sandy recorded her part at Island Studios. So I don't know whether they actually recorded them at the same time.
Oh.
Because a lot of Robert's vocals, from my understanding, when he recorded, like when it was playing along with the band, he pretty much kept a lot of his vocals. He'd do 1 or 2 takes and then maybe do some overdubs and stuff like that. So,
I did not know that. Thank you.
Yeah. I think John Paul Jones. Sorry to cut you off too, Simon. I think John Paul Jones is playing acoustic on this one as well, which Alan Garber alluded me to that. So.
There we are. It's I mean, yes, Battle of Evermore. Again, it's that we talk a lot about, that you've got these 2 kind of, rock. Definitely, you've got a rock track, a rock and roll track, and now you've got a track that is very much in the kind of English folk tradition. That's. I'll point out the most obvious thing: no John Bonham on it, no drums, not at all. No percussion, and I think that's a sign of tremendous confidence, really. That Jimmypage has the vision. And clearly he has a very strong vision of these things as the producer. That no drums, it's a folk track, just acoustic guitar, mandolin, and you're showcasing the voices. And I don't know how familiar people are with Sandy Denny. I'm very familiar. Got all her solo stuff and stuff she did with Fairport. She is one of the great English vocalists, female or otherwise, and she wrote some fantastic songs. She wrote a song called oh God, I'm gonna forget. Who Knows Where the Time Goes. And if anybody doesn't know that song, it is a fantastic song about the passing of time and friendship and stuff. So if you don't know that song, go and check out Who Knows Where the Time Goes by Sandy Denny. It's just with Fairport and Richard Thompson playing lead guitar on it as well. There's nothing better than that, I can tell you. Different, but nothing better. For sure. So it's it has quite a sort of fantasy type vocals. Clearly Tolkien and stuff are the influences for here. A kind of medieval kind of feel about it, knights and things like that. So fantastic track, 20 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. I love the change. I love the contrast with the previous track, and I love the introduction into the next track as well. And I think there's that kind of, when you're programming it and you're thinking about it, that into the next track is a thing, and clearly Page has thought about it, I think. But and I think their vocals mesh beautifully together. Plant sings fantastically, Sandy Denny sings beautifully, and it's evocative, isn't it, of so many things. So 20 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Really, really fantastic.
I just want to mention, I think, because I overlooked this part of my notes here, I think the heroic lyrics were written about a fascinating book about Scottish history that Plant read. So he was influenced from that. That was my understanding. Sorry, guys, I forgot to mention that. Right.
No, you're more than welcome, bro, to throw the comments in. We got Texas Jack Door in the chat saying g'day. So good to see you, Texas. The next song, gentlemen, hold on. Make sure. The next song is, I'm going to do something a little bit different as the introductor to the song. I want to offer this song up to a round table kind of discussion, because I think this is, and then obviously we'll go through and give your presentations. But I'm happy to use my time as I'm gonna as a bit of a general kind of discussion, because I think the song deserves it. And we could probably do a whole song, whole show on this song. But I'm just going to give a bit of a background to the song before I talk about the song, if that's okay. Some interesting points. So Zeppelin had been performing this song, Stairway to Heaven, in the months leading up to the release of the record. So they already, guys, had a good feeling about how the song would be received. Audiences were apparently enthusiastically responding to the new song, and obviously Led Zeppelin hoped that the reaction that the audiences were hearing would be transferred onto the record. And there was so much interest apparently around the song that Atlantic Records pleaded with the band to release an edited version as a single. But this is one of the great things that we love about rock and roll bands that can swing their weight around. The band declined. If you wanted to own the song, you had to buy the record, and it was the complete record. And to this day, Led Zeppelin 4 is still one of the best-selling albums ever because of this song, I would say. 40 million sales, Brad and Simon. I don't know if you guys have got that statistic up. But do you guys want to add like a general conversation together before I continue? Brad, are there any points that you want to talk about Stairway to Heaven before I continue, brother?
I've got a lot here, Andrew. I've got a lot.
There's a lot, isn't there?
Okay, we'll keep it then because I want. Okay.
No, there is a reason why they put the lyrics to Stairway to Heaven in the album cover, because they believed in this song so much before the release of the album. They've never did this before. They never actually put lyrics of their songs in an album.
Correct.
You know? Sorry, Simon. I thought I cut you off, mate.
No. I went indeed. Sorry, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. There was obviously and you're 100% in the sense where they wanted people to, if they wanted the song, they had to buy the album. That was it.
Okay. So okay. Well, getting back to the song then. So Page apparently had been formulating, a lengthy composition for some time. And he was fascinated by the idea that a song would propel itself forward with very little, repetition. He was influenced obviously by some of the classical composers, and I'm sure the rock professor might talk a little bit about that. And portions of it would eventually, of that part of that musical genre would come through into Stairway to Heaven. What have I got here? The foundational tracks, Brad, I understand, were captured at Island Studios, with Page on acoustic guitar and Jones on the piano and Bonham on drums, and the bass was added later. Look, I'm going to pass it over to Brad and the rock professor. I've got a couple of other things, but I'm going to add them afterwards. Guys, a lot of people have made money out of taking the piss out of this song. It's become the butt of a few jokes. But I counted in the 2 weeks that we were preparing for this track, I counted 6 times this album was played on my classic hits radio station in 2 weeks. 6 times, guys, and I'm not lying. It's remarkable that it gets that kind of rotation, and every time I hear this song, I'm fascinated by it. Communication breakdown as an example. I don't want to hear communication breakdown again. I've heard that song enough, but I never get sick and tired of hearing Stairway to Heaven. There's just something magical about it. When I was like Simon, a 14-year-old boy listening to this with my cousin, on Song Remains the Same, it blew me away. I have to give this 100 out of 10, Brad. It's it's a definitive song for this band. And it deserves its recognition and its place in rock and roll history. Brad?
Oh, you couldn't have said it any better, Andrew. I mean, this song is a masterpiece. It was developed at Page's home with his home recording 8-track, and it went through, he went through a series of developing this song. And Page and Plant went to Bronnuer again after they revisited that cottage, and they had a cassette recorder. They started piecing some ideas together there. They basically, what happened with, they pieced this song together. He pieced it together first. Obviously, he had the whole song. He went through the song with John Paul Jones, and then they went through it as a trio with John Bonham. And Plant penned the lyrics, from my understanding, three quarters of the song he wrote on the spot. He just, Page wanted to construct a song that the drums come in the middle. He envisioned the gradual stepping tempo as well, because the song does change tempo, which is kind of against, the rules, so to speak. Musicians were hesitant to change tempos in songs and things like that, which he envisioned that. So he, that's the sort of creative mind that Page had, which is brilliant. So they recorded, I think it was created at Headley, but they recorded at Island Studios in February 71. Page recorded all the acoustics first as a backing track with his Harmony 7 H1260. And from there, obviously Jonesy and Bonham were playing along. So Bonham obviously on drums where that comes in, Jonesy on electric piano. Then they added all the overdubs later, like the 6 and 12 string guitars, the bass, the vocals, and the guitar solo. It opens with, the song opens with Page on that beautiful Harmony 7 H1260 with those beautiful arpeggiated chords. It's like they're probably the most famous chords in rock history. Let's be honest. Vocally, it has to be one of Plant's best achievements, in my opinion, as a vocalist, from subtle, like breathy voice to rock god status in one song. The verses, obviously, you have the 12-string electrics in it, the Vox and the Fender 12-string. I believe that they recorded those 12 strings directly into a desk, which was later compressed to give it more of a bell-like sound. The third verse sees Page introduce like the Les Paul. He does some interesting descending harmonic structures, and they kind of mirror, or to my ears, they got that sort of "You Never Give Me Your Money" by the Beatles sort of thing. And obviously Badged by Cream is something that's another thing that's come up as well. The middle of the song sees Bonham come in, like he surges in on the drums. He's like anticipating his spot to come in, and he surges in. It's just beautiful the way he comes in, supported by Jonesy on his 62 Fender bass. And that groove is just so amazing. The song slowly speeds up. I think it's about 72 beats per minute, and it goes to about 86 beats per minute. The solo is obviously announced. It's got that syncopated part. It gave Bonham a few headaches at first. The guitars sound really reverbed at this point. The 12 strings are up front, and his Les Paul. The solo launches in with Page playing his famous, Dragon Telecaster with that classic bluesy lick. It's trademark. Everyone knows that lick. I remember reading somewhere Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, the original drummer, is like, he's a drummer, but even he knew how to play that intro lick because it was like one of the most famous things, one of the first things he ever learned. Apparently, Page had a few problems nailing this solo. He tried some different feels and timing effects, and before he nailed the one we know today. There's some wonderful playing, and I have to note this, by Bonham and Jones during the solo section. It's just brilliant. It's one of the greatest guitar solos in rock history. The final section in the next part is like another journey. It continues, the song continues on as part of this epic journey. Robert's voice in this part, to me, is timeless. Jones and Bonham are just tight, dynamic. Page has got some wonderful rhythm guitar parts going on with the 12 strings and his Les Paul, and the outro solo with those unison bends and everything that he's doing on the Telecaster. Just, Jimmy Page has been quoted as saying Stairway crystallizes the essence of the band, and I have to agree. I'm going to give it like the highest ranking of a song I've ever given it, like 1,000 out of 10 or whatever. It's just, to me, I never get sick of listening to it, despite the fact it's got this stigma with, don't play Stairway. To me, it's the ultimate, in an arranged song. It's written a particular way. It was envisioned a certain way, and I think Page completely and utterly nails what he visioned, because that comment alone speaks a million words to me. So, yeah, 100 out of 10, guys. Simon, I hope I haven't waffled on too much there, guys, but that was
no.
It's an important song, and there's probably some facts that that I've got that can be corrected or whatever, but these are facts that I've read for years and years and years, and I know all this stuff from those documents that I've got, and actually got a lot of this out of guitar magazines as well and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I'm a little bit like you, bro. You know, one of the great things about the song is that, you know, you can close your eyes and be transported centuries back in time to a fireside gathering, traveling
Mm.
minstrels, you know, and the which woos, you know, local villages, especially at the start. Simon, you know, after a minute, you know, and this is one of the great things about the song because it seems like it goes forever. But after a minute, you've got Paige coming in, you know, with that feminine mystique thing, singing about hope. You know, there's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold. What a, you know, well, I'll add some more later, but I don't want to take any more out of the rock professor's
No,
allocated
carry
slot.
on.
But yeah. Simon, tell us what you think about Stairway to Heaven, please.
Well, I don't know. For me, it's an extraordinary record in many ways. That thing about saying I want to have a long song and then building it in sections. So you start off and then, you know, having the slightly the nerve to have recorders on it. Any record that has recorders on it, you know, that echoing back to one's school years when I was at school in primary school, everyone learned how to play the recorder. You know, that's what you did, kind of thing. And so to have that kind of recorder thing on the front end of it, I think the interesting part, as I said in the previous song, is that the first half has no drums. As a kind of, so Battle of Evermore leads into Stairway, still with no drums, you know, and you've got this great stretch of music, the two songs with no drums, and I think that's pretty bold. I think that that I heard Plant. I'm clearly watching some stuff on YouTube, and he was a radio interview, and he was saying that this is 2000ish, so he's got a bit of distance behind it. He said that really for him the song had kind of come to mean, you know, the lady who's, you know, there's a lady who's short everything, she is buying a Stairway to Heaven, you know, is about materialism and stuff, and his idea was that trying to get back to kind of a bit more of a, you know, relationship with the countryside and, you know, nature and things. So, which I think is one of the themes of it, which is interesting. I think that I'll just say something about the, you know, it's easy to kind of, you know, laugh at the lyrics or whatever, you know, but they are a bit of their time, because, you know, they're not the only people writing, you know. You try it if you want a bit of laugh. You could try it reading out Emma Slater Palmer lyrics. They're quite fun to do. But, you know, it's always time, you know, but trying to say something in a broader sense. You know, this is not about what I'm doing. You know, my life. This is a much broader kind of, you know, bigger, more mystical. You know, I mean, you know, that kind of, we've talked about already. The Tolkien thing is very much prevalent in those. You know, and also I think this is a really interesting point by a guy called Patterson Hood from the Drive-By Truckers, who worked with Jason Isbell. So Jason Isbell was in Drive-By Truckers as well, I think. So he says about it, he said that it tends to be children, like people of a certain age, the same age, so 15, 16, 17, when you're reading Tolkien, you know, and I did this myself, you know, so that's why it rings a bell. You know, you read Lord of the Rings when you're about 16 or 17, and then you're getting into Led Zeppelin at 16 or 17. So the lyrics have a particular appeal to somebody of that age, and they, you know, they ring for somebody of that age. They don't necessarily ring in the same way for somebody who's 50 and arriving at it the same first time. So I think, and that's a really good point for me, that you know, that they you know, they tell a great story. They, you know, they're pretty poetic, and they, you know, they have an arc to them, as does the song, you know, all the way through. I think it's, you know, it's one of the, I mean, clearly there are other people you know, doing the same sorry, the same stuff, you know, like Slater Palmer and Yes, you know, are extending out songs, not quite in the same way, a lot more keyboards and a lot more stuff, but whereas this is definitely sectioned up. Couple of things that made me smile about it was when he said, where is it? He said the band's first reaction was not to bow down in awe of their leader's monumental offering. I think it was more of, this is tricky. page. Lot to learn here then. But, my other favourite bit is that, and I've done a similar story with to do with the Beatles, but that Glenn Hughes, I'm sure you know who Glenn Hughes is, who had a band called Trapeze at the time, good trapeze band, and they were playing in Birmingham, and and Bonham turns up at the gig, and after the gig he says to Hughes, come back to mine. I want to show you something. So they go back to Bonham's house, and Bonham plays him the acetate of Led Zeppelin 4. So it hasn't even been mastered yet. He plays him the acetate, and he Glenn Hughes says he played me the entire record, and it comes to Stairway to Heaven. And of course, I'm only 19 years old. I'm thinking, bloody hell, this is earth.
We've lost the rock professor. Damn it. He was right for people to point too.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for joining us. If you haven't already subscribed to our social media account, there they are on the bottom. Here he is. He's back to continue giving us the rundown. No, he's not in there. He's not in there. Here he is.
Look at that. Booted off at the vital moment. But that thing about it being so new and so different, you can only go, bloody hell, So I think that it's, for me, it's it is of that era. It's it's 100 out of 10 from me. I'm not one of those people who has got bored with it. I think the solo is one of the greatest solos ever. It is. If you want the epitome of a rock solo, that is it. What are you doing? What are you brushing up on, bro? Led Zeppelin.
Because I just remembered in this book that I read that there's one section in this book. You continue. There's one thing I just wanted to check on before I actually mention it.
So yes, 100 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love it. I love the way the drums come in. I think the solo is just epically brilliant. I think he just pulled off a piece of magic, Jimmy Page, in that solo. And I love it. I think that, as you said, that first classic run that he does, Bradford, I think, does he end on an F sharp or something? It just, that's just like signature, isn't it? Really, it's just fantastic, and
awesome.
Never skip. And as I say, I love it. I think it's and I don't get tired of it, and so yeah.
So in April 1970, Jimmy Page explained that the aim was to create an epic 15-minute track that would replace Dazed and Confused on stage. That's basically, there's a big interview here, but there's one section of that. That's basically what I was getting at. So obviously the song doesn't go for 15 minutes, but...
No, it doesn't. But what's really great about the song, after nearly 6 minutes have passed, the band begin laying down the chord progression for that extended solo that we've just been talking about. And apparently it was Page who willfully designed the time change that you were talking about, Brad, in his composition. He was convinced that the increase in the energy would be exciting enough to override any opinion that they'd broken the rules. And again, this is one of the great things about Led Zeppelin, a rule-breaking band. And he was supported by mesmerized audiences. So there's a couple of notes I got here. So that faster tempo and that new chord progression provided by Page is the excellent foundation which to weave, that masterful solo that he's got, because it's only 3 chords, Simon. 3 chords are used, an A minor to a G minor to an F major. So that's the vehicle, the foundation that he does the solo on. I've got some other interesting little bits and pieces here that I've got during my research. So on the studio recording, he's limited himself to 10 sequences of that chord progression. But at concerts, he would stretch it out for, as long as, they desired, and the mood that they had and the reaction to the band. On the BBC sessions, they play that 13 times. On How the West Was Won, there's an impressive 28 progressions. And on The Song Remains the Same, 36 progressions. Jeepers, you know. So this is why the song is so great, because the live version, sorry, not the live version, the studio version is a masterpiece. But Brad, you go and listen to some of these other live versions, and jeepers, you're in another universe, aren't you?
Yeah, there's some, and that's, you know, it did extend out the big solo and extended a lot more, and there was some wonderful playing, and like even like The Song Remains the Same at Madison Square Gardens. The solo in that is probably one of my favorites, maybe because I've heard that more than any other version. But it just, yeah, there's something about it when they go into the solo goes through this, but then when it goes into an extended feel and they drop down and Page is still playing, it's just timeless stuff for me. Bands don't really, in my opinion, without sort of sounding like a fuddy-duddy, I don't really think bands capture that anymore in this day and age.
No, they don't, bro. They don't. You know, because you've got Robert Plant singing a new melody with these words: as we wind down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. There walks a lady that we all know, who shines light and wants to show how everything turns to gold. It's just, you know, it's a completely different melody. It's just, I'm speechless. Sometimes
it's about ambition, isn't it? It's about having about looking at where you are and the landscape and going, there are no rules, there are no limitations on what I can do. There's nobody telling me, and I think it's, you know, personal, there's nobody telling me what I should do. There's nobody telling me how I should what I need to do to get a hit, what I need to, you know, what it needs to sound like. You know, in the words of the great Tom Petty, the future is wide open. The whole thing is wide open. So you turn up and you can do anything you want. You know, to have the idea and to have the, you know, section with recorders, and then a section with, you know, acoustic guitars, drums, let's guitars, solo, you know, and to just go, that's what I want to do. And for nobody to be saying, oh yeah, but that doesn't have the right drum sound, you'll never get a hit out of that, or whatever. You know, I think is you know, is fantastic, and I think that's one of the major differences between then and now, because it hadn't been done before. And you know, every album that you look at is a progression, isn't it? You know, if you look, you know, Zeppelin, all bands, all those bands, then, you know, all those albums they're different from the last one. You know, they don't. You know, I think, you know, we get to the first two Led Zeppelin things have a bit of a template to them, but you get to Led Zeppelin 3, that has a lot of different stuff on it, a lot of folkier stuff and things. And you get to 4, and then it's different again. You get to Physical Graffiti, you know, they all got different things to them. And I think that thing about having ambition, vision, and no perceived limits on what you might do, what instruments you might have, and you know, the way you might do. I mean, you know, quite a lot of other bands, you know, like Renaissance, there's a band called Renaissance in the UK about that time, Gentle Giant, who were doing all these sorts, you know, playing medieval instruments, and you know, so you know, there's links to other bands and what they were doing. But for me, the ambition and the creativity, just doing what you want to do, and I think, from my memory, I think that this is another. Yeah, absolutely, Texas. Yeah, musical in all its manifestations. But I think you see one of the key things. I think Led Zeppelin paid for this. They were still paying for their own recordings. You know, I don't think that Atlantic were paying for them. I think it's a licensing deal with Atlantic. So if you're paying for it, you can do what you want. You know, you can. You know, but without completely unfettered by fashion. You know, what things might want to sound like. So you know, I think that's why it still stands up today, and for me is why it's a masterpiece. You know, in this genre.
I think we've, you know, we could talk about this song forever, I think, but I think we've given it the credit that it deserves. You know, we might have gone on for 10 or 15 minutes about this one track, guys, but you know, it is one of those songs that's it's a very important part of rock history.
Yeah, and my final comment on this particular song from my notes, guys, and that final burst of rock and roll wisdom, isn't it? You hear plants singing. If you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last. When all is one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. Wow.
And I love the way the song ends, you know, and it stops with the vocal part, you know, and she's fine. Yeah. And it's, you know, amazing. So yeah, guys, I think we really gave the song the attention it deserves.
Guys, go and listen to this song again, and yeah, if I think there was a comment in here by Johnny Heartbreaker. He said, you know, that he doesn't like the song because radio's killed it. Look, I get it. I get that, because there are some songs in the Led Zeppelin canon which I don't enjoy as much as I used to because of the radio thrashing. But yeah, I get that, but not with this song.
I just want to make a note on, and there are songs that I feel the same way about, but when we're ranking these, I think from a historical point of view about the album, not necessarily how often it gets played on the radio and things like that. So for me, that's, you know, when I'm thinking about these songs and doing these rankings, that's, you know, it's an overplayed song. I went a long time without ever listening to Stairway to Heaven because I heard it too many times. But, you know, listening back to it over the last 2 weeks, I've re-fallen in love with it. It's just, you know, it's one of those songs. Anyway, I think when we do these rankings, we're doing them rankings for the album, not necessarily how many times it's been played on a radio. I think that's just an important part to mention, guys.
Yeah, cool.
No,
so Misty Mountain Hop, guys. Oh, sorry, Simon.
No, go on. Keep going.
Did you want to add something to Stairway to Heaven?
No, nothing in particular. No. Only to say I understand completely if people are, you know, it has been overplayed to them and are bored with it, you know. But it hasn't to me. I still think it's a masterpiece. But,
yeah.
Awesome. So Misty Mountain Hop kicks off. Oh, we should also too talk about the sequencing of the songs, because we like to talk about that too in connection to the actual vinyl sniffing that the rock professor enjoys doing.
Actual vinyl sniffing.
Yeah, we're vinyl sniffers here, ladies and gentlemen. So Misty Mountain Hop kicks off side 2. So guys, I've just got a couple of notes here before I pass it over to Brad. You know, you've got that jaunty electric piano progression that cozies up to the music. It's like a merry-go-round kind of thing. You've got Bonzo and Page entering, you know, with that tough edge and, you know, the heavy hand on the song. Apparently, and I went back and listened, there's a rare mistake from Jones on the keyboard around the 210 mark. But the ensemble, especially Bonham, apparently sounds so good through the track that they didn't even bother trying to fix it. So, guys, go back and have a listen to that. The song title was taken again from Tolkien. It's referenced a few times on a few songs that Led Zeppelin have done that the rock professor has mentioned. What else have I got here? The other being the ring wraith in the Battle of Evermore. Okay, so yeah, that's the note that I've got here. So either go and read Lord of the Rings again or watch the movies. Although the lyrics don't linger on Middle Earth, which is an interesting thing too, even though we tried to decipher that, Simon, when we were younger. We were trying to make the connection between the lyrics to Middle Earth and couldn't make that connection. It's good to know that there was apparently no connection, so that's great. Guys, I'm going to give the song a 9 out of 10. Solid side 2 opener. Brad.
Well, I mean, Zeppelin for me were like the king of riffs. You know, they came up with the most amazing riffs, and this is no exception. This one's a wonderful riff. You know, our attention is already grabbed by that. You know, the Hohner electric piano playing the riff, and then the guitar comes in growling. You know, I'm pretty sure it's the Les Paul. You know, it's got that intense, thunderous swing from Bonham when he comes in, and for me, that's the highlight of the whole song. Bonham's feel on this song is just infectious. It's amazing. Vocally, it's a wonderful vocal. There's some really well tracked vocals in the verses. He's double tracked his vocals, and he's singing in registers that male singers struggle, and it's a walk in the park for Robert Plant at this point in his life. He was a young guy, and he was just, he was out on a limb doing his thing. Lyrically, the reference to the name Misty Mountain Hop may have been a reference to Lord of the Rings, but I think the song is basically about a bunch of hippies getting busted, and it's about simple problems that come from just taking a basic walk in the park on a sunny afternoon.
Correct.
So there's some wonderful drumming in this song, like I alluded to. I mean, Page plays some multi-track solos, and there's some harmony parts in there. Fantastic tracking. I love the energy of this song, and for me, as soon as I hear Bonham come in on this song, it's like, oh. So for me, it's a 20 out of 10. It's never a skip.
Wow. You got me there, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, I might have to be timed out. Depends on what the rock professor's going to. Whoa.
9 out of 10 is a very good, decent score. It's fine.
Okay.
I think that one of the problems you have slightly in this that side one of this record is so epic and so classic, and when you look at it now, and I've conscious of this, that listening to it, that I think it does overshadow side two a bit.
Yep.
No I doubt. Think that you cannot escape from that. You've got four. Black Dog, Rock and Roll, and Battle four of the most epic, the most recognisable of that any era, but of this album. And I think that the side two, whatever you did, almost is going to suffer by comparison to side one. I think that's a great stuff. I mean, I think Misty Mountain Hop, I like the keyboard riffs, and with the guitar played together. I think I think it swings really well. It's kind of proper Bonham swinging drums this time, in contrast to some of the other stuff we listened to. Good point. The title comes from The Hobbit. Tolkien's The Hobbit, not Lord of the Rings. But yeah, you're right. It's about more earthly matters in the actual lyrics, which is cool. I think, and I love the harmony guitar solo that Page does. When he double tracks. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a typical Page thing, just a little, it's not really complicated, is it? It doesn't,
no.
Just basically goes down, down. It basically just plays the riff, but because of that, it's just a different feel, a different texture, different vibe to it. With, and I love the things, where he sings, where the spirits fly and Bonham goes, tremendous kind of crazy drum fill break that he does, kind of thing. So lots to like a song. 9 out of 10 from me, never a skip. And a really good opener to side two.
For me, I rate it 20 out of 10. Solely good. It's That's just fine. One of those songs. When I started playing drums, it's probably one of the first songs I tried to learn on drums. It's got something about it, that swing. And I'll touch on that solo, Simon. The way Page orchestrated his guitar parts were more so around for the song than trying to be the next guitar hero, which is, I give him credit for that, because he could have played any.
He didn't want his solos to be separate from the song. I get it. I get the point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my reasoning for 20 out of 10 on that.
That's fine. That's great. No, I completely understand that. It's great. It's great. I never think it's I always think it's a great track and really like it. And as you said, it has that Led Zeppelin feel, doesn't it?
It's never a skip.
How good's the drum sound on that? Like, that's just one of those epic drum sounds on that song. Anyway, what's the next one, guys? We're up to
4 sticks is the next
4
song.
Sticks. So it's one of the most adventurous songs that Led Zeppelin ever recorded. You know, the main riff is composed of notes that don't normally get played together, you know, in hard rock bands. And again, we have Led Zeppelin breaking the rules, ladies and gentlemen. One of the reasons why we love this band, because besides the music, Brad and Simon, they've got this muscle behind them, you know, this drive to do what they want, and we love that. You know, it's just another part of what makes Led Zeppelin great. And I'm sorry to keep going on about that, but I think we've got to put that into context, because they did what they wanted, rightfully so. Getting back to my notes, guys, you know, the main riff is I've picked this word to describe it. You know, you know, the notes in the music in this song give it that exotic quality, as opposed to an Eastern thing, if you know what I mean. And I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I'm using exotic. You know, that exotic part or feel for the song is further enhanced by the mixture of the time signatures that include only 5 beats in a measure, and then, you know, you've got the peculiarities of Bonham, you know, in the studio. And out of frustration, he grabbed a second pair of drumsticks. Apparently, Brad, he'll correct me if I'm wrong. And that's how he got through, you know, the successful take. And it's only fitting that the song title acknowledges, you know, the zealous solution to the song. I think Brad's going to probably talk about the synthesizer. Look, guys, I'm going to give this song only because it's different. Never used to like the song when I first had the album for the first 5 years. I'll admit that. It was a sometimes skip. But I like the song because of the difference, the differentness of the song. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, Brad.
Yeah, that's a fair score because it is a great song. I mean, the way the song comes in, it's just straight off the bat. They just dun, 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 dun. It's just got that weird time signature as well, which makes there's got like an infectious feel behind it. And I know they had trouble getting this song right, and you know, that's even like where rock and roll evolved from, because they were trying to get this song together. Obviously, the Bonham used 4 sticks in it. You know, you just alluded to that. You know, that was probably but if you really listen closely, there's some, and I'm being super critical here. I was listening with headphones. You can really hear that Bonham is just managing to keep that timing. I think he struggled with this song, and I never say that about Bonham ever, but you can for a little bit, especially towards the end. I think there's a lot going on there. The time signature that's going on there, and he's focused so hard. I know he did have trouble with this song in particular, but you know, it's fantastic. Look, the drum beat's infectious. It's like a drum loop. And if you're trying to play the same thing on guitar over and over and over and over and over without changing, that can get almost like you start making an error, because you get lost a little bit. You sort of get in that sense of, if you're playing the same 4 notes over and over, for example, you know, eventually you start losing that consistency. And I think there's a tiny, tiny bit of that right in the song a couple of times. There's some wonderful, lush guitar tracks in this. The vocals are great. The bass is great. I love the middle section, that orchestrated music section. It's very Led Zeppelin genius for me. It's very orchestrated, and you know, and the more I listen to this song, I never say it was a skip for me, but it was one of the songs that wasn't necessarily one of my favorites on the record. John Paul Jones played a VCS3 synthesizer on the track as well. I just remembered you brought that up. But so look, for me, it's a 9 out of 10. This song, it's a brilliant track. It's for me, It's never a skip. It never has been, but it was never one of those go-to songs. Like I would never play it for a non-Zeppelin fan, if that makes sense. To introduce them to a Zeppelin song, I would have played the Misty Mountain Hop or Rock and Roll or Black Dog over this. So,
yeah. Oh, it's definitely a deeper cut, isn't it? For sure.
It is, and great work to get it done. Because obviously, I'm sure in most musicians, when you're in a band, you're writing songs. Sometimes there's songs that just don't work, and you end up dropping them, and they actually manage to nail it, which is great. So, Simon,
as we said, good morning to Cool Music Tech. Good morning to you, and good night to Texas Jackdaw.
Cool.
One comes in, the other goes out. Fine, going to bed. Only 3 a.m. in Texas. But yeah, I won't go over too much about what you guys. For me, I mean, I like the different parts. I think it has a kind of Eastern Arabic feel that clearly Page and Plant, explored a bit more as they go through their careers and stuff. But I think definitely the sort of the singing bit where he does not the word singing, but the ooh yeah, oh yeah, that bit at the end has definitely got that kind of Eastern, and I think probably the time signatures contribute to that and that kind of thing, and that, as you say, that kind of hypnotic drumming. I know it's got 4 sticks and stuff, but because you're doing the same thing, right? You've got that kind of drum loop thing. That's very kind of Arabic music. That you get to kind of sort of trance-like sort of thing going on. Yeah, so I think that definitely, for me, that's definitely the underlying vibe of it. That with that kind of Arabic Eastern music feel, that I think is really cool. I think it signposts things that they did later and stuff. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. I think it's one of those things where you've done the first side, you've got the second side, you have to have. They always do variety, Led Zeppelin, don't they? Variety is one of the key things in this thing. And, we've had Misty Mountain Hop, which I think the 4 sticks. It's funny, isn't it? When I listen to this, when I listen to together, you've got that da 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 da, and then you've got the other. To me, the 2 riffs almost could fit together into one riff, kind of thing. They seem to be 2 halves of the same riff in an odd kind of way. I don't think that's really true, but that's how it felt like to me. The 2, you play your da 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 da, and you go back. They seemingly they seem to be 2 halves of the same thing in a funny kind of way to me. They don't really fit together, but it just felt like that to me. So yeah, 9 out of 10, never a skip for me. It's and as I say, in the context of the album, it's great.
Yeah, awesome. So we're up to the second last.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Simon, because I just remembered I've got this book here which calls Led Zeppelin's influence on some of the songs, the CIA, the Celtic, the Indian, and the African influences. So that's Thank you for drawing my attention to that, because I said exotic, not erotic, guys. Exotic. There's a big difference. Okay, this is an exotic show that we do, guys. Going to California. So listen to the beginning of Going to California and enjoy a sound of Plant inhaling a quick hit of air, and then we get into that. Listen. And then we get into the opening lyric, spent my days with my woman unkind, smoked my stuff and drank all my wine. So we can get a fair assumption of what he may have been inhaling at the start of the song. I always think that, these guys are putting themselves into, the method school. So he's probably doing that. He's not just taking a breath of fresh air. I'd like to hear what my other co-hosts think about that.
He's smoking his stuff and drinking a little wine. Yes, you see. It's all there in the lyrics, Andrew, if you choose to look.
Look, Going to California apparently was, a term that meant that things were going to be all right, things were going to be great. We're going to California. I love the song, love the lyrics to the song. I just think, again, it's one of the great things that I love about Led Zeppelin is this moodiness and the stamping back to that mythical thing that we love about the blues, and Keithrichards talks about it too. It's this thing that's primordial sometimes, and it, I don't want to sound liberal or airy-fairy, but I think it's one of the great things that Led Zeppelin did at the beginning of the 1970s. They were cross-cultural. They were successful in Japan, Europe, everywhere. Because of this song, because of this music. Brad, I'm going to give this song. I always love the song. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, bro, and it's never a skip. Love it.
You pretty much covered most of my notes. I think you've been reading them, Andrew. So it's a beautiful acoustic guitar tone. There's just that breath of fresh air. I still think he's having a little toke of something there and getting in the mood for the song for his next vocal take. There's some lovely lyrics. I know Plant was a little bit embarrassed about the lyrics. At one point, he admitted that he was a little bit embarrassed about them at times. But it's a beautiful vocal take. That real folksy feel. Jonesy on the mandolin, Page on the acoustic. I believe he's in an alternate tuning, which is like a double drop D tuning, which is D, G, B, D. And look, that wonderful fade out at the end with the reverb on Plant's voice gives that spooky eeriness and sets the mood. Great second last song. Second last song. Andrew, you were going to jump in there?
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm that reverb on that spookiness.
Yeah, it's really well done. And look, I have to say this is a 10 out of 10 for me as well. And it's a beautiful song. I've always loved it. It's kind of got a real, like a nice mellow happy vibe for me. When you put this on, you can envision them sitting around in a room recording it. That's how I'm picturing it in my head anyway. Simon.
Yeah, completely. Well, I mean, going to California was the centerpiece when I saw them in '75. Clang! At Earl's Court. When I saw them in '75, man, when we were there live.
Rock Professor, Rock Professor, have you ever been called a bastard before?
Yes. Not yet today, though.
You're a bastard, all right? I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah. Bastard, yes.
I don't.
In a jealous, envious way. Yes. So anyway, yes, when I was at Earl's Court in 1975, but they did this acoustic thing in the middle, and this was of the centerpiece of it, and where they sat down on chairs and kind of and played, and James played vanhalen and Page played guitar, and plus they sat on a stool, and it was really cool. So it reminds me of that clearly. I think that just to continue the lyrical thing, that there are various references to someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes, flowers in her hair, is about Joni Mitchell. This is a song that's about Joni Mitchell. There's some lines in here. To find a queen without a king, they say she plays guitar and cries and sings. That's a kind of reference. Apparently, Plant, when he sang somebody told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes and flowers in her hair, he used to say Joni at the end of it. We're live. So as a kind of signpost to it, but a wonderfully evocative song. I think again that thing about not having drums on it again. It's kind of bold, isn't it? 2.5 tracks don't have drums on them, and yet they've got the greatest drummer in I would say the greatest drummer in rock in your band. You don't use him for 2.5 songs.
Well, he's going to make up for it on the next song, isn't
Well, he
he?
is. Don't spoil it. Don't, spoiler alert. Yes. Don't do that.
He was probably happy he was off this track. He was probably having a beer or something, at the pub while these guys were busy recording.
Yeah. So, it's for me a beautifully evocative song of, going to California and, and it has that kind of sunshiny feel, the kind of slightly laid back Californian vibe to it. I think it's a 20 out of 10, never a skip from me. One of my favorite Zeppelin songs. Really cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, so we're up to the last song on the album, 7 Minutes of Goodness, and I suppose we're going to probably interject with a few comments, because I'm not going to read all my comments, but but I'd like to share some space and some time and some ideas with you guys. So if we thought the drums on Black Dog were cool, or if you weren't impressed by the drums on Black Dog, jeepers, when the levy breaks, it set what I think is an industry-wide expectation from the moment on what rock drums can and should sound like. Whenever a drummer or producer tells a sound engineer, from what I've read, that he or she wants the Bonham sound, it's the levy they're talking about. The band apparently were tempted to record the song in another location, but were unable to get the results. But when Bonham was inspired by Brad, with a new kit, he was inspired by a new kit at Headley Grange. They decided to give it one more try, and rather than record the drums in apparently an enclosed booth with microphones nearby, Page and Andy Johns decided to take advantage of the 3-story hallway. And there's a couple of videos on YouTube where they talk about it. If you guys haven't checked it out, go back and see it. And they used one of the microphones on the second floor with the drums placed at the bottom of the staircase, and ran the signal through the guitar echo effect, which added, a considerable amount of compression. So I'm going to end my comments there and say it's if Stairway to Heaven was astronomical, this is for me just as important. It's makes side 2, Simon. You've spoke about side 1 being perfect. And there are a couple of 9s that we've given on side 2. This song makes up for any potential skips on side 2. Brad, I'm going to give this a Brad score. I've got a couple of other comments that I'm going to add, but I'm going to wait for you guys. Knock us out, bro. What have you got?
Well, the centerpiece of this song is clearly the drums for me. Wow. From my understanding, you're correct with the Ludwig in the front of the stairwell. I thought it was recorded with 2 mics, 2 dynamic M160 microphones, I believe. I could be wrong, but that was my research, and they were run into some compressor limiters to obviously get more aggressive tone out of them, and then they were obviously put into a Benson Echo and a delay unit was also used. But wow, I mean, what a fantastic drum tone! I mean, that is the industry standard Bonham sound for me. When people say when you're recording, and even myself when I've recorded, I tried to chase that Bonham sound, and for me it was when the levy breaks. That the sound for me is close second would be off this record. Drum tone would be Misty Mountain Hop, but this is for me this is Bonham's centerpiece of a drum genius. It's one of the most sampled drum beats in popular music. It's Page and Jones here just playing, in my opinion, behind the drumming. That's what it feels like. They're letting the drums lead the song. They've got a drone going on. They're not doing, and I believe it's a cover. Obviously, Robert Plant wrote some extra additional lyrics for the song. I skipped all this, sorry, because I jumped straight into the drums, so I'm going backwards on my notes here. But I believe it was a cover song of a Memphis Mini 1929 song, and they credited Memphis Mini on the song as well on the album. And they credited themselves because they changed the arrangement. Instead of it being a 1-4-5-1 turnaround, they kept on the same chord for as long as they could. It had that infectious drone thing going on. For me, it's defining the charismatic sort of drumming of John Bonham. Page recorded the guitar parts. This is courtesy of Alan Garber in G, and then pitched it down half a step. So we're hearing it in open F sharp. He used his 1966 Fender Electric 12-string electric on it. I love the sounds. I love the harmonica. The drumming through this song is honestly amazing. The outro part of this song with the panning, clearly one of Page's favorite things. He's been referenced. He loves that. He's panning on the song. He loved the way that came out. Some of John Bonham's drumming, and especially towards the end, his kick and snare patterns, drum fills. As soon as you hear it, you know it's Bonham. You know it's him. I don't think anyone can replicate Bonham like Bonham did. It's like people on guitar, they learn Stevie Ray Vaughan licks, they learn Hendrix licks, they learn Eddie Van Halen licks, but no one ever plays it like the original guy. And I have to say this, no disrespect to any drummer, I've never heard a drummer play as good as Bonham. I have to give this song like 100 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
Yeah, I just want to add something before the rock professor jumps in. So the levy opens with two measures of what I think is the best slow rock drumming you can ever hope to hear, and then you know with that solid snare drum, backbeat, and then the kick drum that thunders in, and you've got the hits each with the kick and the snare. And as Brad mentioned, if you notice, you'll hear the immediate slapback echo, which is really, really amazing. It's really interesting, and it makes Bonham sound like he's playing in this massive auditorium. Yeah. Even if you're in the cheap seats. So that's what's really great about the recording. And all credit Brad and Rock Professor to the production team, because they listened to their drummer, because apparently he was dissatisfied with his drumming sound on the previous album. So they paid a lot more attention. They kept the drummer happy and gave him the attention. I tell you what, Rock Professor, they nailed it certainly with this song. Tell us what you got.
Well, first thing I'd like to say, Cool Music Tech says, must admit, fellas, because of this show, you helped me get back into Zeppelin, which I haven't listened to for many years. And if we've done that, Cool Music, that's what our aim is, just to kind of, go back and listen to it with slightly different ears. And if you get something out of it, that's really pleasing. So thank you for that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, well, of course, it is, one of the great Zeppelin classics. That drum sound at the beginning has been sampled by, millions of people, in rap and all stuff. I just thought I'd show this. Get a proper picture of it. Don't do that. I'm not here. Just in case that is a Vincent Echo wreck. There we are.
There you go.
And old tapes inside.
Wow.
Quite fun. Yeah. So that's what they used on the track was that. So that's really cool. So
that's awesome.
I like I think that thing you described, that modal approach, where they just go down, 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 all the way through, and in pacing, very kind of modal. Again, it isn't, but that modal thing is a kind of Eastern, Arabic music kind of thing. It's not an Arab music song, but it has that, that kind of using a modal vibe that's part of that African thing. That comes through the blues as well, but it's really cool. It has has the vibe. It has the way that they do it, and that, Bonham gives it that swing, doesn't it? This is where the swing comes. He's got that kind of swing and that kind of that gives it such a groove, such a fantastic groove. And for me, that's what it is. It is a fantastic groove. I like the harmonica playing as well. I think that Page said that the vocals were processed differently on each verse, sometimes with phasing added, and his backward take, because Jimmypage's backward, where he put the echo ahead of the sound, was used on the harmonica, so to give it that kind of eerie sound, and I think it has an eerie quality to it as well. It's amazing finish to it, 20 out of 10, never a skip, and a fantastic ending track, right up there.
I think you guys are right, and what's really interesting about the song is that at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a big migration of black people, in America from the South going up to Chicago, to find a better life and make some money. And, that's where industry was growing and going down, and again, the lyrics reflect that, we've mentioned it before, haven't we? That Led Zeppelin are part of that connection, and they're talking about it. They're paying homage to the diaspora of black people from the South going up north. Love it. Just a great song. Gosh, these guys are great songwriters, aren't they, Brad?
Yeah, you have to put this song on the whole album, really, but you need to listen to this song through headphones. It's remarkable. And listening back to it, knowing what we know now, you can kind of hear the sections that they recorded at different speed, and then they've slowed it down to give that feel of that sludginess in the song. But listen, it's one of those songs I think every drummer needs to listen to and really absorb what Bonham's doing in the song, especially towards the end. The feel is amazing. Sure.
It's what he's playing, not the sound, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you get past the sound, it's what he's doing.
Yeah, really listen to, especially as the song is going through the end transitions, and he's doing all those drum fills and the kick and snare patterns and everything. Just remarkable. And I really don't think I've heard a drummer that unique, in my opinion. That's just me.
No.
Yeah, I agree. And Plant with his harmonica, he can give Mick Jagger a run as a harmonica player. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's the mighty
Led Zeppelin 4, yes.
Symbol album, Led Zeppelin 4, or Symbols, or whatever you want to call it. There's also Zosso album.
4 Symbols, yeah.
I've got another note here. I love that slide guitar that comes in at the 5-minute 35 mark, and returns the band to that final droning, to that closing minute of the record. I just
after it finishes, you've got that weird little guitar bit at the end. The kind of bookends the warming up bit at the beginning, doesn't it? You've got those 2 tiny little sort of like sound samples of just, warming up and then that kind of thing at the end. Just bookends it nicely. I don't know if that's deliberate, but I noticed it as a thing.
And Plant goes, tells the listener, "I'm sorry, I can't take you."
It's the song is very drony. It's got a feel to it. The drums are clearly the centerpiece for me. Clearly.
I'm trying, Cool Music Tech. I'm trying with the Instagram. It's quite hard work. Oh dear. Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, good stuff, guys.
That was a great record to go through, and I must admit it's it's been a short minute since I've actually listened to the album in its entirety the way I have over the last 2 weeks, and what a refreshing way to listen to the record, just to assess it like the way we have. It's been brilliant.
Yeah. When the levee breaks, for my opinion, guys, it's their best reinterpretation of American blues. And I think Keith Campbell's making the comment, more American blues than British blues, of course. But, you know, it's that best reinterpretation, I think, Brad, into something distinctly Led Zeppelin. And, you know, that's what we love. But, you know, these touchstones that they give, you know, they can't, and people beat them up for that. You know, uninformed people beat them up on it. But, you know, you got to give Led Zeppelin credit where credit is due.
I think they just did their own style of blues. They didn't really want to conform and be a traditional style blues band or anything. Whenever they played blues, they did it their way. That's just how I saw it. They didn't really want to conform and play it like traditional. There was no rules. They just did what they wanted to do. And really, that was, you know, if you want to go back and look at some of the other blues artists that were, I mean, you know, even other innovators like Hendrix would do that. He'd make his own version of the blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan, same thing. In my opinion, he took the blues and did what his influences were there, but same as Zeppelin, same as Hendrix or whatever, but he did his own style blues. And that to me is like unique for a band to be able to pull that off. And Zeppelin did it so well. And I mean, a big part of that was the chemistry of the band, in my opinion, 100%.
Yeah.
Got a question for you guys then. So where do you rank this album? Is it in the top 3 of your Led Zeppelin albums, Brad and Rock Professor? Brad?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask us this. I saw that question in the chat,
I gotta ask a bitch question now and again.
Yes, for me. Yes. Definitely 3? In the top 3. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely top 3. You know, it hasn't sold 40 million copies for no reason. You know, it is a classic rock album. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it has several just classic songs. You know, classic rock songs, classic in any place, anywhere, anytime. So yeah, definitely in the top 3 for me. Don't ask me to choose the other 2.
Wonderful time for the band. What do you think, Andrew? Is it in your top 3?
Could be in my top 2, bro. And I just want to say thank you to Johnny Heartbreaker for these awesome comments. Great part 2 show. Thank you for your hard work in doing these shows. You guys are awesome and
Thanks,
keep
Johnny.
pumping forward. Thank you, Johnny, because Brad and the Rock Professor and I and Kurt, who joins us on the 5150 show, you know, we enjoy doing this. And, you know, to get comments from guys like yourselves who are more knowledgeable, I'm sure, than Brad and I and the Rock Professor. So the fact that you're hanging out with us and listening to what we've got to say is humbling.
It's great. We learn a lot from you guys. Your comments in the chats and in the comments after the shows, and we're just 3 fans of a band that we're not experts on. We're just deep diving into what we know about the band, and your input is integral to our show. 100%.
Yep, we enjoy that. Yeah. So guys, don't ask me what my number 1 Led Zeppelin album is. That we'll save that for another Led Zeppelin show, because we've had a bit of fun with Led Zeppelin, haven't we, on this show? We've done a few of them, and we've got a few more to do. But I'm comfortable to say this is my top 2, Brad and Rock Professor. It'll be in my top 2. I think, in fact, I'm going to go as far as to say that it's probably, you know, it's a man. If you love this music, you got to listen to this album. It's crucial, isn't it? It's critical.
I'm going to go as far as saying this, guys. I've listened to this album pretty much without listening to anything else for the last 2 weeks. And now that we've done this assessment and I've heard your guys, analysis of the tracks, I'm going to go listen to it now while I'm having dinner again and think about what you guys have said about the songs. That's how much I enjoy this record.
And that's the thing of it, isn't it? That you can you can listen to it over 40 years, in my case more than that, 50 years, you know, and it still stands up as a record you can listen to and still has something to offer. And that's fantastic.
Cool Music Tech's just on Amazon now, buying some Led Zeppelin records right now.
Well, for me, guys, like after our shows, normally when we've deep dived into a record, especially over 2 weeks, I'll give that album a rest for about a month before I put it on again. But this one, I'm going to go and listen to it straight away again.
Awesome, bro.
Keith, it's fine, mate. It's what you think. It's just cool. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. We're humbled by it. I've got to do a shout out to my co-hosts here, the hard work and the effort and the enthusiasm. If they don't want me saying this again, block your ears. But I've got to say it because it's true. You know, we're an organic show and we're mates. And where I come from, if someone does a good job, you tell them. If someone does a shit job, you tell them. So did these guys do a good job today? Yes, they did.
and guys in the chat, don't worry. Andrew tells us when we've done a shit job too. Don't worry about that.
No, we do all right. We do well for our little piece of YouTube world. You know, we're getting up there with subscribers. I think Rock Professor are on about 715 subscribers, cool. So we're getting there. Brad's getting a lot of hits on his Instagram, which is really, really good. Brad's had some great posts over the last couple of days. I love saying this. I've got to say this. He'll take you on nature walks. He's still trying to find crocodiles and snakes. I'm sure he gets pissed off because every time he's on there, when he jumps on there, that's all I say. Any snakes? Any crocodiles?
Crocodile. Oh dear. Oh,
look,
fantastic.
To be honest, the reason I do it, and I'll explain that, is because there's so much noise going on in the world right now. It's just nice to sit there and let everyone take a breather on social media and not worry about this or that or whatever's going on in the world.
Well, I don't know Cool Music Tech because he doesn't show us.
Nature walks.
He just sets his phone up and he just shows us this waterfall and this beautiful lake. You know, who knows what he's doing behind the camera?
Yeah, trust me. You don't want to see that.
Oh dear, good one.
As usual, guys, stick to our socials because we'll release the album that we're. Whose pick is it?
It's I think it's Brad's, isn't it?
Okay, cool. So Brad. Yes, it is.
Well, you see, the trouble is, I led on All Things Must Pass, but I'm not necessarily saying I chose it. So I kind of feel like I did too.
I think it's yours, Brad. Yeah. So follow Brad because
referee.
Yeah.
Hang on. I think it's Simon.
Is it?
Because I did Black Sabbath, then we did All Things Must Pass.
That was me.
Oh yeah, but you didn't pick. Okay,
see, that's the trouble. He picked it, and then I did it. Then he delegated it off to me.
It's all right. I've got the album ready. I'll run it by you guys in a minute.
Okay.
So follow Brad on Instagram, guys. Hit his stories because that's how you have to find what the album is. If you guys want to prepare yourself. And join us next week. Now, it's my pleasure to tell you guys that we've got a big show set up for the channel on Wednesday, New Zealand, Australia, UK time. It's the 6th of October. It's the anniversary of Eddie Van Halen, this guy there. His passing. He passed away a year ago, and we have the 5150 show, and Brad's a part of that with the Rock Professor. So we're going to go live. We'll be going live 12:30 p.m. my time, which is 10:30 Brad's time, and we're going to go for as long as StreamYards allow us, whether it's 6 hours or 8 hours. We're going to have a lot of people jumping on. If you guys want to be part of the live stream and jump on with us and just spend 5 10 minutes talking about what EVH means to you, you're more than welcome. If you guys don't want to do that, but you want to do this, if you want to do a quick recording, a video, 30-second video of what EVH means to you, we can play those. So if you get them to either Brad, myself, or the Rock Professor, I can download them and we can play them during the course of the show if you don't want to jump on. We've got some cats coming on. We've got Hoss coming on with me. Simon is going to come on with Brad towards the end of the show for the last couple of hours. We've got some other people. We've got a couple of great surprises coming. A couple of key people that, we're going to have some draws. We're going to have a T-shirt draw live on the show. And the reason why we want to have the live T-shirt draw is that if we get people in watching us, we want them to share our channel, our live link on their social medias, because we want to grow our channel. We want to take advantage of Eddie's anniversary to do that. And we don't mean that maliciously or in a bad way, but we just want to do our part of what we want to do is to celebrate EVH's passing, Simon. And if we can grow our channel and mix with other Van Halen nuts, why not?
For sure. Yeah. Be great.
So I'm looking forward to that. So the Rock Professor's going to jump on, as I said. We're going to have
I'm going to be allowed on. I'm going to be allowed on the Van Halen show.
We're going to have
under strict supervision.
And a few other guys too that you guys know of. They're going to jump on with us as well. And if you guys want to join us. If you want to join us and jump on, let us know, and I can send you guys the StreamYard link, and then you can just jump on. You don't have to hang out the whole 8 hours or 6 hours with us. And I just want to reiterate again, if you don't want to do that, but you want to play a video, we'll play that. So, Brad, I'm just wrapping up. So you want to offer any other comments about the Van Halen show that we're going to be doing, the special?
All I'm thinking is it's just going to be we're just going to get on and talk about what Ed meant to us. And there's no real, like, if you guys wanted to come on, like Andrew was alluding to, we just want to share our little, 5-10 minutes of what's important about Ed and the music that he created. That's pretty much it, Andrew. I think we're, it's a, unscripted show. That's how I think it needs to be. So it'll be a little bit more special. Yeah.
Yes, unusually.
There's only one rule. There's only one rule. No swearing, no profanities, guys. We don't want to, So if anybody jumps on and they're effing this and effing that and effing this, you're gone. We might let one or two words go through to the goalie, but that's just one rule. Yeah. We don't want someone effing this and effing that. Yeah,
I think you guys are probably aware of how we conduct ourselves on the show. We try to be, family orientated show. We want to be. So that's it.
So somebody asked in the chat about, I think Cool Music Tech said, what time in the UK? So currently, Cool Music Tech, Andrew, is you on Auckland time, Andrew? Pretty much. Yeah. So basically, it's 9:50 there, correct? And it's 9:50 here. So you're 12 hours. Ahead of us. Yeah. So there you are. So midnight for Andrew is midday for us. Cool Music Tech. Does that make sense? So
And that's one of the reasons.
Midday.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we're going to go 8 hours, because we want to try and get as many time zones as we can, because Brad and I and the Rock Professor and the Rev would have just jumped on and done a couple of hours anyway. But
flag.
but we want to get as many people on. You know, we've got some people that watch the channel that have already committed that they're going to come on. So yeah, I think it's going to be cool for the show, bro. I look forward to it. And Brad's going to zoom back from work, and he's going to jump on, and he's going to probably he'll be on for the last 2 hours. So
yeah,
woo, doggy, I'll be looking forward to him coming on.
Yeah. Well, my daylight savings started today, so I'm an hour forward here at the moment. So I think that make me get in an hour earlier, Andrew.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm kind of a bit brain dead at the moment, but yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But you know, it's just we're just doing it to pay tribute to the wonderful Ed Van Halen.
And the Rev is going to have a T-shirt draw as well. He's got a T-shirt that he's going to give away, and I think he's going to do the pedal draw as well. So we want to have, if we can get about 50 people watching the stream, that's the minimum. That and then we'll do the draws. If we got 40 or 30, well, we might just do one or two things maybe. But it all depends on who's going to jump in and join us. If you guys can help share our channel with your friends who might be interested in participating with the world's first EVH tribute show, and make a bit of history with us, why not?
Well done.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And thanks for joining us, guys, today as well. And thank you. Thank you for anyone who's watching this back and is not subscribed. Please do so. We're a small channel. We're a mighty channel. We're trying to grow. We need your help. Organically, we want to grow. We've done such an amazing job in the last 12 months. You know, we want you guys to keep helping us grow, and we appreciate you guys contributing to the channel 100%.
Cool.
Shall I I'll say goodbye to everyone in the chat, shall I, before we go? So thanks, John.
Yes.
The D351. Excellent. Keith Campbell. Cool stuff. Mark Tanner. Cool music tech. Looking forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday if you're about. And as Andrew said, if you want to jump on, just get in contact with him. And Helene O'Hara. So thanks, Helen, for dropping. Great Vanzini, of course. Good to see you. Teresa, Mark Tanner, Keith Campbell, Cool Music Tech, Helen Winter as well. Ellen Orishine, thanks, Helen, for dropping by. Who else did I see up here? Deja Voodoo. Hugh Caldwell, thank you. Good to see you. Johnny Heartbreaker, of course. Good stuff, Johnny. Thanks for your very kind comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Johnny, I can't remember if I can think about so far. So Johnny Bean jumped in as well. Don't know, various other people. Apologies if I missed you. Texas Jackdaw as well. Texas, thanks, Texas. Hope you're asleep. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday with a bit of luck. So take care.
Awesome. Just one thing before we go, guys. If you want to jump on, it might be easier to go to Brad's Instagram and get in touch with us there. Brad Cook Music, rather than try and find me with my long under hyphenated dashed forward dash star dot bloody name. Brad's onto it. Brad Cook Music, easy.
Or Kurt S5150.
Yeah. Just If you want to fire through, your request to join us, that'll be cool. Or message us under the comments. Love to have you on.
It's a great idea, actually. If you haven't got Instagram, just whack a little comment underneath this YouTube clip.
We'll get it,
and we'll get to you, Andrew. We'll get to you. All right.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way for this coming show, because we'll see that their username here, and you can send them the StreamYard, can't you?
Good. Yeah. Good idea. That's good. So I'll have a couple of we'll have one thing open, but we just I'll talk to my co-hosts a little bit in the green room. We'll get out of here because you guys have got something to do. We're going to split. We're going to cruise. Later, Woods.
Thanks, guys, for having us.
Yeah. Take care, all. See you on Wednesday.
Now listen
Bye.
to Zeppelin.
Bye.